I woke up to a miracle today. Triggers stay as I find my way. No judgment to lead astray. In this peaceful state I'll stay.
Welcome, everyone. We're about to begin an exploration that focuses on the final lessons of the Workbook of A Course in Miracles. We are jumping right into the introductory essay for that final section, and it really signals a monumental shift in our entire practice.
It really does. I think for many students, this is the moment where that year-long effort just changes in character.
Yeah.
The work we've been, so diligently doing, it doesn't stop, but the way it's held becomes profoundly different. The whole tone feels quieter, simpler.
That simplicity, it seems to come from there being less instruction and less of an emphasis on managing the mind.
Exactly, which has been the primary focus for so much of the journey up to this point.
So our mission here in these final lessons is almost to move from learning about truth to finally just resting in truth.
We're exploring familiar concepts, as the Course often does, but seeing them from new angles in much deeper ways. It's a real transition.
We're so glad you're joining us for this exploration today.
We really are.
And as we get into this final phase of practice, we would love to hear your own reflections on this shift. I mean, what does it practically mean for you to stop managing your mind?
You can always share your thoughts or any questions with us.
The address is acim@theworldharmonyproject.org.
So let's jump right into the introduction to the final lessons.
Okay.
Our final lessons will be left as free of words as possible. We use them but at the beginning of our practicing, and only to remind us that we seek to go beyond them. Let us turn to Him who leads the way and makes our footsteps sure. To Him we leave these lessons, as to Him we give our lives henceforth. For we would not return again to the belief in sin that made the world seem ugly and unsafe, attacking and destroying, dangerous in all its ways, and treacherous beyond the hope of trust and the escape from pain.
His is the only way to find the peace that God has given us. It is His way that everyone must travel in the end, because it is this ending God Himself appointed. In the dream of time, it seems to be far off, and yet, in truth, it is already here, already serving us as gracious guidance in the way to go. Let us together follow in the way that truth points out to us, and let us be the leaders of our many brothers who are seeking for the way but find it not.
And to this purpose, let us dedicate our minds, directing all our thoughts to serve the function of salvation. Unto us, the aim is given to forgive the world. It is the goal that God has given us. It is His ending to the dream we seek, and not our own. For all that we forgive, we will not fail to recognize as part of God Himself, and thus His memory is given back completely and complete.
It is our function to remember Him on earth, as it is given us to be His own completion in reality. So let us not forget our goal is shared, for it is that remembrance which contains the memory of God, and points the way to Him and to the heaven of His peace. And shall we not forgive our brother, who can offer this to us? He is the way, the truth, and life that shows the way to us. In Him resides salvation, offered us through our forgiveness given unto Him.
We will not end this year without the gift our Father promised to His Holy Son. We are forgiven now, and we are saved from all the wrath we thought belonged to God and found it was a dream. We are restored to sanity, in which we understand that anger is insane, attack is mad, and vengeance merely foolish fantasy. We have been saved from wrath because we learned we were mistaken, nothing more than that. And is a father angry at his son because he failed to understand the truth?
We come in honesty to God and say we did not understand, and ask Him to help us to learn His lessons through the voice of His own teacher. Would He hurt His son? Or would He rush to answer him and say, "This is my son, and all I have is his"? Be certain He will answer thus. For these are His own words to you. And more than that can no one ever have. For in these words is all there is, and all that there will be throughout all time and in eternity.
Wow.
Yeah. It feels like the shift from trying to understand the concepts to just allowing the concepts to be true for you. And the first, most tangible change is about words themselves.
Yes, that's maybe the most obvious signal that things are changing. The text states that the final lessons will be intentionally left as free of words as possible.
And that signals a huge change in function.
Well, think back to the beginning of the workbook. The training required a tremendous amount of effort with words. We spent so much time on distinctions, reframing, repetition,
Conscious mental correction.
all of it. Words to train the mind out of the ego's thought system.
And now the course is basically saying, okay, words have done what they can do.
They've done their job. They're now only used briefly at the beginning of our practicing, and just to remind us that we're trying to go beyond them.
The implication there feels critical. The actual practice isn't about intellectual understanding anymore.
No, or a specific technique. The focus shifts entirely to trust. It's about moving past the form of the lesson to the experience it's pointing to.
So words don't matter as much here as they do in the world we're trying to leave behind.
Not in the same way.
Words are stepping back, and the mind isn't being asked to manage itself with specific phrases. This leads us right into the huge theme of relinquishment.
Yes, relinquishment of authorship, of effort. The course is asking for a transfer of direction, not just better self-management or more disciplined practice.
You know, I find that point so freeing. We're not deciding how the practice should look or how well we're doing, but I think some students might worry this sounds like laziness.
That is such an excellent point.
What if someone uses this to just stop practicing altogether?
The relinquishment isn't about stopping activity, it's about shifting the source of the activity. The course isn't asking for passivity. We're just being asked to stop directing the process ourselves.
And we see that language right in the essay. Let us turn to him who leads the way.
And to him we leave these lessons.
When you really leave the lessons to that guidance, you can stop managing yourself.
That release is everything. When I first did a series here of the workbook, I realized I was watching myself a lot. I was pressuring myself every day to stay on top of the lessons, to apply them perfectly. I was keeping track of myself, noticing everywhere I would lose the practice.
Oh, I can so relate to that pressure. I don't think I even realized how stressed I was until I got to this part of the workbook, and this introduction finally eased that internal demand.
The tension ended.
It did. The workbook suddenly felt easier, not because I figured something out, but because it stopped asking me to work so hard.
And that feeling of release, that's the experiential benefit of this shift. If you're used to controlling every outcome, allowing guidance to lead means you finally get to let go of the burden of management.
I used to follow every thought about how something should go, all the way through, trying to fix it or correct it. Now a thought might come up, but because I've transferred direction, I find I can just let it go before it even generates an emotional response. It's a genuine release.
And that release perfectly prepares us for the next major transition, which is the reframing of forgiveness.
Right. Because earlier in the workbook, forgiveness is something we apply.
A tool, exactly. But here, forgiveness shifts. It's no longer a tool. It's something we recognize as our shared purpose, our identity. It's not about fixing specific grievances anymore.
Next, it becomes universal.
The Course says, unto us the aim is given to forgive the world. This universal aim means forgiveness becomes how the mind relates to everything, all the time.
And it's tied to recognizing everything as part of God himself.
Which means it's about recognition, not behavioral correction.
That's what stands out to me. It's about remembering identity. So if forgiveness is our identity, we're not denying that behavioral mistakes happen.
No, of course not.
But we're looking past the behavior to the shared reality underneath.
And this is such a profound shift because the forgiveness offered here is literally the end of the dream. The text calls it God's ending to the dream and not our own because it's based entirely on that recognition.
Which naturally changes how we experience time. These final lessons treat time so differently. The ending is described as inevitable, appointed by God.
The text is so beautifully direct about it. It says, in the dream of time, it seems to be far off. And yet, in truth, it is already here.
This isn't about striving toward an awakening that happens later.
The goal is to cease resistance to what is already present, to just stop the delay. The waiting is over.
And this is where this relief becomes so clear. Awakening is framed as sanity. not as some lofty spiritual elevation.
And that removes so much of the fear we often project onto ideas like holiness or spiritual completion.
It does. I mean, if I'm only mistaken, I need instruction. If I'm guilty, I need punishment.
Right. By calling anger insane, attack mad, and vengeance a foolish fantasy, the Course just positions us as students who need help, not as criminals needing judgment. We're simply being restored to sanity,
We're saved from wrath because we learned we were mistaken, nothing more than that.
which reframes the entire journey. We were only confused, not guilty.
And that clarity, it just dismantles the final projection we sometimes place on God, that idea of a disappointed, distant, or withholding father.
We're finally invited to come in total honesty to God and just say,
I did not understand.
and the response isn't judgment, it's just total recognition. This is my son, and all I have is his.
And that's the end of bargaining, the end of proving, earning, or improving ourselves.
It's recognition without any conditions.
These final lessons mark transitions across our entire practice. We're moving from learning to remembering, from effort to allowance, and from linear time to presence.
They are, in essence, a complete release of control over the process. We're just done managing ourselves.
And the significance of that is that the workbook can end at all. It can end because these final lessons only ask us to stop believing in sin, stop expecting attack,
Stop waiting for wrath.
and just accept that forgiveness has already restored our sanity.
The work continues, of course, but the heavy lifting of self-management is done. We're relying on being led now and stopping the management of the process. We will continue this exploration as we move into the first of these final lessons.
And if you have reflections or questions, you can email acim@theworldharmonyproject.org.
We'll see you for lesson 361.
So our final thought for you to consider is this. How does your perception of holiness change when you realize sanity and holiness are exactly the same?
I